Well, the title comes from the phrase American Pie, which has always meant something, very American, a slice of American life. And long before the movie American Pie came out, um, it always meant, similar to the way Don McLean referenced it in his song American Pie, and it's always meant something, a slice of American life. So this is American Chai sort of implies a slice of an Indian American life. So that's where the title came about. And essentially the story follows Sureel, who is a senior in college studying to be a musician, but his family thinks he's studying to be a doctor. And the story follows his journey through music, through love, confronting his father, played by Paresh Rawal, and overcoming his deception that he's been involved with all his life. He's always been lying to his family about being a musician. So now he's with Maya as the catalyst. That's the female lead part. Yeah, Maya is a dancer, and Sureel sees her dancing one time, and she's utilizing the whole person. She's which is Indian, which is American, which is everything. So he feels inspired to really create music that consists of everything that he is. He plays the sitar, and he never really gets to use that in the rock band he's in. He's sort of just playing guitar and playing, backup guitar, and he's really not really content with the type of music he's playing. So after seeing Maya dance, it inspires him to sort of follow his own voice and start really being his own person. And consequently, he also decides that it's time to take responsibility for lying to his family. And so the story ultimately is about that, is about following your bliss, in Maya's case dance, in Sureel's case music, and in the end a father and son reconciliation is what he's after. So it's more about that than necessarily being Indian or being American. Sure. Well, I can relate to the character more because he's a musician than I can because he's Indian. So it's more. I relate to the character more that way. It was the character is very different than me because my family is supportive of me pursuing the arts, whereas the parents and Paresh Rawal in the film is not so supportive of Sureel. So I wouldn't. It's definitely not autobiographical by any means, but I have experienced a lot of the pressures to take a conventional route in as far as career path goes, from community and maybe extended family. So I have experienced a little bit of it, enough to play the character and create a character. Well, I can't speak for all Indians in America, but I think I've had a lot of response from Indians in America and people who saw the film who afterwards were thrilled to see an Indian person on the screen speaking in English and not with an accent, and that's sort of a novelty still. In recent years there's been a few of these films, but a lot of people want to go into the arts and don't necessarily have the courage or don't have the support as far as family is concerned to pursue such careers. But I think now, as you see more of us doing it and being successful doing it, you have a lot more people sort of following that path. So the response has been great, from Indians, from non-Indians. It won a lot of audience awards where there are no Indians. So this film it's more of an American film than an Indian American film. At the end, it's a film that's played better in audiences that weren't even Indian. Of course, the Indians do relate to it a little bit more intimately, but it's in the end, it's a universal story about a father and a son. So I think Indian or not, just anybody who's had a father who's had a human experience of any sort of deception or any rift between family can sort of relate to it, Indian or not.
Sure, I play the character of Maya, who, when you meet her, she is in the process of a dance performance where the lead character, Sureel, sees her for the first time. And she's very at ease with herself. She has, I think, a peace in her life in terms of who she is and what she wants. But the dance thing is kind of where, when she meets Sureel's character, she finally gets to see what seeing how passionate he is about his music and how that's kind of reflected in her dance, but her not really knowing how to make that dream a reality for her kind of becomes one when she meets him, because he becomes the catalyst in which she can start to realize her dreams. And then for him, I think he kind of is inspired to live the life that he's always wanted to, and kind of face the music and live up to the truth and what he wants, and kind of stand up to his family and finally become the man that he's been wanting to be. So they inspire each other. And the love part. I mean, it's hard not to, you know, certainly you have similar experiences. I mean, I'm certainly not exactly her, but I think, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of subtle similarities between the two of us. And I also grew up dancing, so for me to be able to dance in a movie was really exciting. It's the first time I ever got to. We don't dance in much movies there, so in order to kind of bring that in and use my background in all the different types of dance that I've done was great, because when you see her, she's doing this number that's kind of a mix of all kinds of dance, and that's what I did growing up, so that was really fun for me to kind of put in the film. Well, I guess it's what you define as what's Indian, you know. For me, Indian is a value system, I think, and kind of what you're grown up with, the values and the morals that you're kind of taught with, the tradition of it. And I think in that sense she's very Indian in terms of the respect that she has, the duty that she feels, and just in the bar that she lives her life, kind of at a higher bar, you know. So I think she's very Indian in that sense. Oh, if anything's been mirrored in the movie? I mean, pieces of it. I think when the director was writing the film, I know he used experiences that he's had or his friends has had and kind of put them together. I'm sure that a lot of the movie's rich with characters, and each of the friends and each of the characters could have, I think, their own story on their own. They're that full and that well developed. I think they're very well written, so they had to have come from pieces of, I think, people's lives. Sure, definitely. For me, I'm not really thinking about what would happen. I'm thinking about the movie and hoping that people will go watch it, because I really think they'll enjoy it. So it's not even about what's going to happen after. That's kind of, for me, not even, I mean, it'd be great if people could see it and hopefully, you know, continue on and wanting to do more stuff. But the point of us being here is to talk about this film that we care so much about. I don't think any of us would come here for as long as we have out of our lives unless we really were passionate about the movie and felt like we needed to be here to say it ourselves. I know when I see people, you know, in interviews, and if they can't take 5 minutes to explain to me why I should spend my hard-earned money to go see their film, I don't see the point of me going, you know, and that's why I felt like I needed to be here to kind of represent and make sure that it was clear as for what the movie was about and why we made it and why it needs to be seen, why it needs to be heard. And I don't think you could get that except from the people that were involved in there, you know. And India is such an important place for all of us. I know. It's okay. I was just saying that I think that India is such an important part of our lives that to have a movie released here is really special, if nothing else. Just to be here, going through all of this and meeting all the people that we've been meeting, it's just been really amazing. So, just because it's rare that you have a film that works on so many levels. I mean, you could take it from the basic, the script and the story and all that, and then you could take it from the themes of the movie, you could take it to the people that are involved in the movie and how close we have become, and you could take it to the level of how I think it will enrich people's lives and open up parts of their lives or minds or thoughts in a way that maybe they haven't before, you know. So it's on all levels, I think, really important.
I would call it a dramedy. You know, it's a comedy and a drama. And it's a very universal movie. It's a very American film. The way the story progresses and the way the whole plot goes forward, and the sense of humor and everything is quite American, I would say. And it's kind of interesting to see this sort of American style with you know, Indian characters. So it's pretty. But in a broad sense, I'd call it a dramedy. In a sense, maybe, but overall, it's quite different because this film doesn't really deal with am I Indian or am I American, or it's not an identity crisis kind of movie. The character is very comfortable being both Indian and American. The only the way the Indianness kind of comes into the character this time around is that you know, he wants to follow his dreams, do something that his father doesn't approve of,
but because he's Indian and he has these values to respect your elders and respect your parents, he wants the trust and respect of his dad while he does this, and that's where his conflict comes from. So, but in a sense, it's not about this confused American. I don't believe in that term. I think it's something that was invented here. I think most of us are very comfortable with who we are over there, and we're both Indian and American. So this movie doesn't deal with an identity crisis at all. It's a story separate than that. A lot of them are loosely based on real circumstances. Either they happen to me or they happen to people around me. Or I feel the story is very real, and the characters are very real. The main story of the parents disapproving of the son's path in life, that I didn't. That's not something that happened to me because my parents have been very supportive and encouraging. But I drew from the community in general and just people around me, and some specific instances. The setting is something I grew up in. The college was similar to mine, and all that kind of thing. So. No, actually, that's the thing about this movie. It's for everybody. It's for both. That's the whole sort of, even just sort of the point of the film is these characters are both Indian and American, and therefore their journey in life is both Indian and American. And so I think ultimately the film appeals to everybody. It's very universal. It's Indian, it's Americans, anybody in any country I think can relate to this story. Here in India, yes, I think so, definitely. I think up till maybe a few years ago when Hyderabad Blues came out and then Bombay Boys, and up till that point I think mostly there was just one type of movie that was connecting with an audience here in India, which was your straight masala Bollywood type of film. And I think of late, of the last 4 or 5 years, ever since those films came out, and then recently all these Bend It Like Beckham and Monsoon Wedding and all these, I think it really shows that the audiences here are opening up to something different. The unique selling point, I think it's definitely a very unique film. The music is a big part of it. There's a lot of original music. There's a lot of original ideas, and the characters are very interesting and fun to watch. It's funny. It's a feel-good film, and I think it's a funny look at Indian American life without making fun of the culture. There's a lot of respect for India and Indian culture and Indian values, and I think that comes through in all the characters, and that's why I think it'll appeal to people over here.